Hi, it's Wyndham. I was talking with a client the other day, and it's someone we haven't worked together for a number of months now. We worked together over a period of 9 months, I think. It's been a few months since our last session together, and I was just catching up with them, seeing how things were going. And they were telling me they were disappointed with themselves because some of their old thinking was coming back. And we'd spent quite a lot of time actually looking at these old stories they were telling themselves that were holding them back, that were keeping them in a place they didn't want to be. And we were looking at the validity of the stories. We were pressure testing the underpinning beliefs that were embedded through their blueprint. We were disproving a whole raft of stories that they had been telling themselves. And we were replacing them with new stories. And there was lots of change, lots of more positive feeling about themselves, a clear vision forward, really solid, difficult work that they had put in. And here we are a few months later, and they're telling me that all of that work feels like it was for nothing. And I think we can all have these moments, right? I know we all have these moments where we have worked through something and we feel we finally put it down and we've moved on. And then suddenly out of nowhere, we suddenly find we're carrying the same thing again. And it's like, oh my God, I thought I'd dealt with this. I've got to go through that process again. And when it happens, we can feel like it's something wrong with us. We can feel like, evidently I didn't do the work well enough the first time. Yes, you probably did. I say probably because I don't know, but the likelihood is that you did. These things are tricky, right? Our blueprint has many qualities to it. Two of them are it is incredibly robust and it is really elastic. So when we come in and start doing the work, when we look to identify those beliefs and truths that are studied throughout the blueprint, whose real only function is to stabilize our view of the world and our view of ourselves, to make it predictable, to increase our sense of certainty in the world, very little to do with actual truth. When we address those things, when we identify the stories we're telling ourselves that no longer serve us and we replace them with new stories, essentially that old blueprint is almost like it's an elastic band and we're putting our hands within it and we are stretching it, stretching and stretching and stretching. And in the gap we create, we build a new blueprint. We write our own. This is phase 3, when we write our own blueprint. But very much like an elastic band, that old blueprint, it's been going on for a long time. The beliefs and truths that we believe we hold have had, in many cases, decades to establish themselves. And if we can recognize that and accept it, then we put ourselves in a position where we can accept the fact that this is work we have to do over time. Because just like an elastic band, the moment we take any pressure off it, it springs back. And so in moments of very high stress, in moments of fatigue, in moments of uncertainty, we can find those old blueprints springing back. It does not have to be permanent. The work you have done previously means that you can reassert the newly rewritten blueprint more easily the second time around, and more easily again the third time, and more easily again the fourth, fifth, sixth time. Because there are some certainties, there are some blueprint truths, and those include this stuff will spring back. A few years ago, I did my 200-hour yoga teacher training. And as part of that, one of the teachers who came in and taught us a few restorative yoga, she had this quote. I have no idea who it's attributed to, but it is, I may have to put the same thing down 1,000 times. And every time I put it down, I am one step closer to never picking it up again. And that is the essence of the work. We hear people talking about, but are you doing the work? You have to put time and effort into this stuff. And the reason you have to put time and effort consistently into it is because what we are dealing with has had many, many, many years to establish itself. It has wandered around your mind so often and for so long that the grooves it has worn are deep. And it takes active effort from us. It takes stretching the band to keep those things where they belong, outside of our day-to-day. And when we can bring the 6 essential elements, awareness, acceptance being number 4 and number 5, compassion, which is essentially non-judgment, self-love, it's the first one. Bring our curiosity. Well, I wonder what has happened now that has given the space for this to spring back. I'm incredibly stressed. Okay, well, getting connected with ourselves, number 3. Awareness, acceptance, intentional action. What can I do that better enables me to hold the space for my new blueprint so it can embed? It has nothing, it means nothing negative about any of us when the old thinking springs back. If we allow ourselves to feel despair at that, to feel like the work we've already done has no value, then we simply make more space for the old blueprint. If, however, we can recognize the work we've done, recognize the truth that this stuff will spring back, recognize that we have done the work already, we understand what's going on, and we can apply the same approach the second time, the third time, the 4th, the 1,000th time, then we are one step closer to never having to do it again. So if you find yourself in a situation where the old unhelpful stories spring back, don't judge yourself for it. Bring your awareness to it. Sit above it. Go, that's interesting. Be curious. Go in search of what is the situation that I am experiencing that has enabled this to happen. And what do I then do about that? How do I manage my stress levels? How do I take better care of myself so I'm less fatigued? Whatever it might be. Enjoy the journey. Recognize it for what it is, which is, I am one step closer to never picking this shit up again. Give yourself a break. And then get back to the work. I leave you with that. I wish you a peaceful and joyful few days, and I will speak to you soon.